What's going on, everybody? So today I'm going to be talking about the new album from the band Trayax, and the name of this album is On the Edge of Madness. But y'all know it by now. Before I get into that nitty gritty, let's check out the cover. So boom, there it is. Take a look at that. Oh, I love this cover. I just love it. I mean, it just looks really, really cool. I love the colors involved, and you see this dude, this like almost sorcerer looking dude, and he looks like he's on the edge of madness. That is for sure. Like his like head is like kind of splitting open or something, or like he's pulling it open, and you kind of like see his brain there, but it's like blue, and you kind of see some electricity and stuff. Like there's a lot of power. It's like a power source or something like that, and it just looks neat. His eyes are glowing blue, and dude just looks cool. He's got this like beard, it looks like, and some like spiky shoulder pads, and hey, he looks like a rough guy. Somebody that you wouldn't want to encounter while exploring Middle Earth or whatnot. But it just looks real cool. It's really eye catching, and you see his face is like agonized and stuff. But it definitely, you look at it, and first of all, you kind of notice like the colors, the way that they draw you in with like the bright blue kind of, and then you see it in the face, and it just looks really cool. I always like, if you're at the CD shop, you're scrolling through, you see a cover like this, you're gonna be like, ooh, this looks neat. Let me see what this is all about. And the way they're named, Trayax is up there at the top, and On the Edge of Madness just above. It just looks really, really neat. As far as um, it gets an A+ for me on the aesthetics and just the design. I love it. Now, as far as does the cover convey what you're going to get on the album music wise, for the most part, I feel like this cover it looks a little bit more modern than the sound on the album, kind of. It's right there on the border, but the cover to me gives off a bit of fantasy vibes. So you might think this is kind of like a fantasy metal, whether it's power metal or whatnot. Um, Not quite. It's hard to say. It's really, really hard to say. A cover like this and the way that the band logo is designed, I feel like it could be a few different things. I definitely in the metal genre. I think that's clear, but it could be death metal. It could be power metal. Could be heavy metal. It gives off a few different vibes, but I don't think anyone who sees this cover and is like really intrigued by it, they're gonna be too shocked by what's on the album. So it still does a pretty good job on that front. But all in all, I dig the cover. It just looks sick. But anywho, enough about that. Let's talk about the album itself. This bad boy's got 9 songs on it and comes in at about 32 minutes, so it's brief. It's quick and it's to the point. Um, which it's good. It's a good runtime for the sound and the style. And sorry, I'm about to about to sneeze. Well, now I did sneeze. I was about to sneeze, but now I have sneezed. So anywho, I apologize for that. But yeah, and so this album, it has a real classic kind of heavy power metal style to it, like you know 80s, early 90s almost. And even in the quality of the production, which if I had to guess, I would say it was done intentionally, because the production quality, it doesn't sound like real modern. It's not super polished, but again, I think that's intentional because it suits the sound and the style of this album. It sounds kind of raw. Even the instruments and the vocals and everything just has a raw feel to it, and that lends itself well to the sound of like the 80s and early 90s kind of heavy power metal style. It kind of emulates the sound the recording quality that you would hear on those type of records. So yeah, don't expect like super polished, clean production value on this, but again, I can't fault it because I think it was intentional and it suits the style, that they're going for here. So, like I said, it's a real classic feeling and style of heavy power metal with some speed metal and some thrash metal thrown in there for good measure as well. So the big emphasis here is on the guitars. That's kind of like the leading charge. You're not getting grand symphonics or anything like that. You're getting that kind of gritty and just scrappy kind of heavy power metal style. A lot of the riffs invoked that kind of feeling, and I could definitely see people. Uh, in the not all power metal is pit worthy, I should say, but I could definitely see folks like live with this band, this album, it being played live, folks getting in there, scrapping it out a little bit in the pit. So it's got a bit of a rambunctious feel to it, and yeah, but so anywho, the guitar work is really well done. There's some great riffs in here, some great killer solos going on, um, some real rhythmic riffs, and some other just like speedy riffs. For the most part, a lot of the songs are somewhat up tempo. Everything is mid tempo or above. There's no real slowdowns here. Everything is moving at a pretty good pace. But the guitar, it really sets the foundation, I would say musically, for the sound and the songs. But the drum work here is really solid as well. The bass, everything, it works together well. And how I mentioned, with the production quality and everything, that doesn't affect the like the mix, I guess, because you're able to hear everything nice and clear. Nothing doesn't sound like it's just a bunch of noise going on. You can distinctly hear everything going on, and that's always really appreciated. Obviously, to the listener, you want to be able to clearly hear all the different instruments, and hear how they all work in tandem to create the sound. Um, and the vocals are really really great. Again, he's got this rawness to his voice, and the way he delivers the vocals, and it just suits the style and the sound really well. Again, it just adds to kind of the grit and just the scrappiness of the style of the time in the 80s and whatnot, where everything, it just felt more, what's the word I'm looking for? Just more. I can't really think of the word, but I think y'all get what I'm saying. When I use words like rambunctious or scrappy, it's just gritty. It's just raw, and there's an energy to that, and it definitely makes you feel. There's definite like real fist pumping moments here in this thing, and it just good melodies, really good melodies. I really like the vocal melodies. And in the chorus, you get some really nice catchy choruses going on here. But yeah, everything sounds tight. Everything sounds deliberate, and yeah, they captured the sound that they're going for really, really well. It starts out with the epic intro song. It's like a minute long, "The Calm Before the Darkness," and that really kind of sets the stage. And then that's got this kind of grand epic feel to it. Um, but then right as soon as that ends, you get into the sound that I've been talking about. Because the first track, it almost that one has a little bit more of like that modern, production feel, that with the grand and the epic. But then you get right in, boom, right into the kind of aggressive, throttling, heavy metal style. So uh, the song White Lines is one of the standouts for me. That one's got a lot of the like thrashy kind of elements I was talking about. Really like that one. That one's very catchy. There's a lot of real chant-worthy songs here too, which I think was also quite common at the time in this style. You just have the real nice chant-worthy moments where everyone's just really getting into it and then scrapping it out in the pit. Simple as that. Now, another standout song on here is Awakening of Dragon, and I also really liked Flying Jolly Roger. Those three songs, I feel like form the core of the album. It's track 4, 5, and 6. White Lines, Awakening of Dragon, and Flying Jolly Roger. I really, really like those three. And like I said, that's kind of like the core of the album almost. And everything on either side kind of builds into and builds out of that core. That's just kind of what I took away from the album. So I would highly recommend any one of those three of songs. If you never heard this band before and you're curious about checking out the album, yeah, if you're more on the thrashy side, I'd say check out White Lines. Awakening of Dragon is a little bit more of the, like, I guess, anthemic sort of song. And Flying Jolly Roger, I don't know why I can't say that. Flying Jolly Roger, has a nice, real rhythmic beat to it, and a fun kind of playful style to it. So, but yeah, I definitely enjoyed the whole thing, and it all rounds out really well with track 9 with the Unisonic cover, which they do beautifully. It just sounds really, really great. They did a very fine job with that cover, and it's a great way to just round out the album. That again, everything keeps the energy up, and yeah, just good stuff. I definitely enjoyed the album, and I do recommend it, especially for anyone who's into that classic, kind of heavy power metal style with some speed metal and thrash thrown in there a little bit. I am definitely going to keep my eye on this band because they impressed me with this. The first time I've listened to them, it looks like they've released a previous album, which I'd never heard. So this is my first time listening to the band, and it definitely caught my attention. Definitely a band that I want to keep my eye on. Is this album perfect? No, it's not perfect, but it's a very solid effort and outing, for the band. And I'm really curious to see how this band continues to evolve because there's a lot of greatness here, and they capture that sound so well. And like I said, I'm just really curious to see how the band continues to evolve and expand on their sound a little bit and expand on the songwriting a little bit. Because I feel like, all in all, it's focused. It's definitely focused, but I feel like they're there there's room to work with, as far as the songwriting goes, and like I said, just kind of expanding their sound a little bit, just to really reach the next stage, reach the next level, reach the next point to where folks are really just paying attention here, because again, I feel like it's a little niche here, and a lot of folks are really going to like this sound and this style, but there's room for growth, I guess I should say, in expanding the sound and the creativity and the songwriting and things like that. Tightening up certain areas, polishing up a little bit. But yeah, so if this is the second album from the band, they're relatively new still, and it's very admirable what they've done here. Because again, like I said, I'd never heard them before. I threw the album on, and I was like, I like what I hear. There's a lot of great riffs, some great melodies. I like the vibe and the style. So they're already on the right track here, and I look forward to seeing what they continue to create because, I feel like they're just going to get better and better and better, and that's very exciting. So yeah, I'm definitely keeping my eye on these folks. I definitely recommend this album again for anyone who's fans of the classic sounding heavy metal, heavy power metal. And yeah, let me know in the comments down below if you've listened to this album before. Let me know if you've been listening to this band already, if you've listened to the previous album. How was that? How does that stack up to you with this? What are your thoughts on the band? And yeah, that's what I got for you folks here today. That's Trayax with On the Edge of Madness. Really solid stuff. I enjoyed it quite a bit. And again, I look forward to their future. That's for darn sure. But thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you all next time. Ranger, out.